reach 8 million followers across social media. Thank you for making us a part of your daily life.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M8 faces westbound restrictions between junctions 2 and 3 due to a collision. An accident between Llanwrtyd Wells and Beulah on the A483 causes delays. In Lancashire, an M6 incident southbound between junctions 28 and 27 closes one lane, resulting in 50-minute waits. In Derbyshire, a collision on the A38 southbound near the A61 Alfreton leads to lane closures. In Suffolk, motorists on the A11 northbound between the A1065 and A134 Thetford West encounter 30-minute delays due to a collision. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
We want to make the new year your best year yet, with a chance to win our greatest cash prize to date. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Treat the family to that bucket list holiday you've always fancied. Get your dream car you've always wanted. Or just relax, safe in the knowledge that the coming year is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
All too often, people will be sitting at home watching a press conference live and they'll hear loads of questions being asked and they'll be thinking, that's not my question, that's not my concern.
We don't care whose feathers we ruffle. We ask the questions that you want answering.
You're all standing on the street protesting and want to have an open discussion.
My name is Patrick Christie's. I do a show for GB News in the UK. Is it possible to talk to you quickly?
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, this is the best view ever of Whitehall, looking out across all the tractor drivers of England who've come together to make their point.
Hello, so as you can see, I'm here in Westminster as the protest begins.
Yes, I'm very much in the thick of it.
Look, we're challenging narratives here at GB News, and that's what sets us apart.
Hello there, it's 6 o'clock. I'm Michelle Dewberry and this is Jubes and Co. Do you guys remember this?
And replacing the unelected House of Lords with a new, smaller, democratically elected second chamber.
Well, I can tell you there's been a big backlash today because, of course, Keir Starmer actually yesterday did the complete opposite of that and shoved a load more Labour peers in the House of Lords. And a report out today tells us something that many of you will already know, that the rush for net zero is going to cost us an absolute fortune. Tell me, why is our political class so obsessed with doing this? And Labour have unveiled their plan to halve the number of homeless in this country. Let me ask you, though, do you think it goes far enough? And if you fancied, I don't know, visiting different shores and you wanted to go to the United States of America, would you be comfortable giving them access to 5 years of your social media history as a condition of entry? I've got all of that and lots more keeping me company. My panel tonight, Reform UK Councillor Leila Cunningham and the Labour Councillor Stuart Fawcett. But before we get stuck in, let's give you your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Thanks, Michelle. Very good evening to you. Our top stories. Sir Keir Starmer has urged doctors to do the responsible thing and call off next week's 5-day strike as the NHS warns of a worst-case scenario for December. The doctors' union's consulting members about a new government offer aimed at ending the long-running dispute. They are due to make an announcement, the BMA, on Monday. Sir Keir Starmer says, though, the offer is dependent on the union calling it off.
They are being irresponsible, in my view. We have already put in place quite a significant pay rise. There are other issues that they're concerned about, which we've been listening to, and we put an offer on the table to deal with those issues. But that offer can only go forward if they don't take strike action, particularly in the run-up to Christmas, particularly when we've got a problem with flu. It would be irresponsible of BMA to push through. And I think for many resident doctors, I think, you know, in their heart of hearts, they probably don't want to do this.
The new offer comes amid a sharp rise in flu cases, with the number of people hospitalised in England up by 55% in the last week. NHS England says more than 2,600 people on average are admitted to hospital with flu each day last week. They're warning that number could rise, could double, or even more than that, to 8,000 by the end of the week. The number of norovirus patients in hospital has also risen by 35%. The nurse at the centre of a row with a transgender doctor over the shared use of a female changing room is to appeal the findings of her employment tribunal. Sandy Peggy's legal team says it follows a claim that a quote used in the original judgment this week was completely made up. She was dismissed from her job in Kirkcaldy after objecting to sharing a changing room with Dr Beth Upton, a biological male who identifies as a woman. And Miss Peggy won a claim for harassment against NHS Fife, but other allegations of victimisation and discrimination were dismissed.
Whilst I am delighted that the tribunal was critical of Fife Health Board and found they had harassed me, their judgment, I believe, falls short in many respects, and that is why I certainly won't be giving up this legal fight anytime.
President Zelensky says the US is pushing for Ukraine to withdraw from areas it controls in the east of the country to create a free economic zone. The US was previously pushing for Ukraine to hand over parts of the Donbass to Russia. Well, Mr Zelensky, though, says the new compromise would not be fair without guarantees that Moscow would not simply take over the zone after Ukraine's withdrawal. Earlier, the Prime Minister held a video call with Mr Zelensky and around 30 leaders from the so-called Coalition of the Willing Nations, which support Ukraine, although the call did not include President Trump. Finally, the Queen's been getting into the festive spirit by hosting children with life-limiting conditions at Clarence House. Camilla welcomed her guests to a winter wonderland scene, complete with Father Christmas, reindeers and a sleigh. After serving lunch to the children, she said, "To me, this is the start of Christmas. I haven't really got my head around it till I come here and realise it's about to happen." The annual tradition is now in its 20th year. Those are your headlines. Now it's back to Michelle.
Thank you very much for that. It breaks your heart, doesn't it, when you see some of those stories in that last bulletin there, some of the struggles that children and families face. And of course it affects you all year round, but even more so, I imagine, at Christmas. So I send all of my love to those families. It won't surprise you as well. One of the other stories in that bulletin, it won't surprise you to know that I completely stand with Sandy Peggy. And of course, I wish her all the best with that appeal. I shall be following that one closely. Anyway, I am Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes and Co with you till 7 o'clock tonight. Alongside me, I've got not one, but two councillors, ladies and gents. What a treat for you. Reform UK's Leila Cunningham and Labour's Stuart Fawcett. Good evening to you. You're both very welcome tonight. As, of course, are each and every single one of you at home. I do hope you're OK and doing well. You can join the conversation in all the usual ways. Email me, GBNews. gbnews.com. Go to the website gbnews.com/yoursay, or you can get me on Twitter or X or whatever we call it right now. But before I do start, very important that I say a big, massive thank you to one of my viewers. Because do you notice anything different in the studio today, ladies and gents? Let me just give you a broader shot of the studio. Do you notice anything different? Do you? What's that I hear you say? Those beautiful burrs on the top of my tree and in the middle of my table. If you're listening on the radio, you'll have to take my word for it. They are absolutely glorious, ladies and gents. So I say a big thank you to Dee and to Vine, who have watched my programme from day one and have made those beautiful burrs for me. I think they're absolutely fabulous, so thank you very much for that. And I can't move on as well without giving a shout out to this little scene. In a house. You didn't tell me the location of the house. There's a little boy called Oliver who watches my programme with his parents, Paul and Joe, and they've been desperate. Oliver's been desperate to show you all the winter wonderland that they've created. This is in their hallway, and if you're listening on the radio, you'll have to take my word for it again. It's absolutely glorious. They've got not one, not two, but 3 trees as you go into that little wonderland. It looks absolutely brilliant, and I wish you a very happy Christmas indeed. I want to come round to your house because you look like you get right into the spirit, and I love it. Anyway, I'll tell you something I don't love. Lots of you have been getting in touch about this fair story. Shall we remind ourselves, when it comes to the House of Lords, the previous thoughts of our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer? Take a listen.
Labour will rebuild trust by reforming the centre of government, cleaning up sleaze, nourishing the relationship between central government and the devolved authorities, and replacing the unelected House of Lords with a new, smaller, democratically elected second chamber. Not only less expensive, but also representing the regions and nations of the United Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good, doesn't it? Let's listen to what he also had to say about the Tories. Listen.
Honour should be for public service, not Tory cronies.
Yeah!
But, Mr. Speaker, isn't this the case? He was too weak to block Johnson's list. And that also means that those who spent their time helping cover up Johnson's law-breaking are rewarded by becoming lawmakers for the rest of their lives.
Abolish, reform, I like it. You had me there, Keir Starmer, but hold on a second, because what have you actually done? Did you see this news? Not 1, not 2, not 10, not 20, but 25 nominations, new Labour peers into the House of Lords. What on earth is going on? Keir Starmer is being called a massive hypocrite, is he?
Well, I'm going to shock GBNews viewers now, because since the inception of the Labour Party wanting more democracy in the UK and to deliver a fairer system, it once printed posters saying they were going to smash down the House of Lords and smash through. And we're here just over 100 years later, and there is still you know, a deep desire within the Labour Party to have more fairness and democracy in society. However, the fact is, at the minute, the House of Lords performs quite an important role within our legislature, which is to scrutinise legislation, and arguably it can scrutinise to a greater extent than what MPs often have the capability to do, and that is what's happening. So it's pretty much tradition that all governments appoint members of the House of Lords, and it's normally broadly in proportion to how many people they have in the House of Commons, and that's the same for the rest of the parties. Pretty proportionate, pretty fair, and that's what's happened here, essentially. Now, I think when the Prime Minister was referring to cronyism previously, when he was Leader of the Opposition, I think he was referring to certain members of the House of Lords that had been appointed by the Conservatives where there were concerns that had links to, reputedly had links to, foreign intelligence agencies that previously been citizens of other countries.
But
and
don't
I think
you
that
see
was
it looks
question
bad
mark there.
when you stand there before you get elected and you go, you look, you see this massive, massive expanding second chamber. We're going to reform it. We're going to do away with it. People like the cut of the jib. They vote for him on that basis, and you get elected, and then you literally do the exact opposite. Don't you see why people might have an issue with that?
I think it's about the lens that you look through. The fact is, at the
I
minute,
look through the lens of truth and honesty and what someone tells me they're going to do.
Well, at the minute, there's a fairness priority list, I would say, and at the moment the system is as it is stands, and there is a requirement to scrutinise legislation. So in order to keep proportionality across the House of Lords, all parties have just done exactly the same as they normally have done.
Well, there you go. You've heard it directly. When someone tells you they're going to do something directly, and they even go as far as writing some of it in the manifesto, depends what lens you look at it through. Nigel Farage, he's not happy today. Let me take a listen to him before I bring Layla in.
So Sir Keir Starmer, always critical of the House of Lords, and in particular the number of peers being put in by previous Tory governments, has now decided to put 25 of his own cronies in the House of Lords, and add to that a handful of Lib Dems and quite a few Tories as well. And you now realise that every party in British politics has representation in the House of Lords, apart from one, and that's the one that has led the opinion polls for the last 150 polls in the row. Do you know what the name is? I'll tell you. It's called Reform UK.
And one of their councillors, Layla Cunningham, happens to be sitting next to me. What do you think?
Well, he promised reform. It's more like a hostile takeover. 25 in one go. And then cronyism actually means favouring your cronies, which is what he's clearly done. It's 25 Labour peers in one go. 9 of them are current or former aides, and they're not particularly successful in life. The whole point, like you say, of the House of Lords is to restrain government, to prevent it from overreaching, to prevent it from passing useless legislation. But it appears that Labour and the Conservatives have used it to control government. So they're putting their cronies in to vote things through, stuffing it with cronies, so nothing. There's no opposition.
But all their amendments always have to be voted on democratically by the House of Commons.
Listen,
so they can't force anything.
No, but they can delay for a very long time, which can cause a lot of problems on the ground. But listen, Lords is supposed to be about representation, is it not? If it is, then reform should definitely get some seats. Why not? The Lib Dems got seats. We're polling higher than the Lib Dems. We're polling higher than the Conservatives and Labour sometimes added together, but we're not getting any seats, and that really tells you everything.
Well, that comes back to what it says about the proportionality, which links to tradition, which is we have an established system that always does it retrospectively based on that. So obviously if Reform had more seats in Parliament, they would then retrospectively get to have peers. But you do have a peer now.
No, he has to resign his seat. But the thing is, it's at the Prime Minister's discretion, right? It's not about any kind of rule or regulation. And what I see, it's basically an unelected class that he's picked to entrench themselves in our legislation forever. You know what I want to see, Michelle? Because Lords legislate forever for us, I'd like it to be on TV. I'd like it to be like Big Brother. We get people who want to stand in the House of Lords and the public get to vote for who they want. Why shouldn't the public have a say in these people that are going to legislate for us?
You can watch the House of Lords on
I don't want to watch it. I want to select who's legislating for life.
The big question is, and you raise a very good point, because I do want to see reform in this sense. I think many people want to see more democracy. But the big question is, well, what are we going to put in its place? And at the moment, I don't think you or I have a direct answer, and in response to that.
What I'm saying is, it's not about right now. If we're just talking about the House of Lords as it is, the House of Lords is meant to be experts, because as we know, MPs are not experts in their field, and they write legislation. And the House of Lords there is to look it over and to ensure that is credible legislation that will actually work. It's not what we have now. We have cronies from both parties. It's basically either a consolation prize or a thank you gift for supporting me.
I don't agree with that wholly, because I think there is a lot of expertise in the House of Lords that actually have
not
a lot
the ones
more
appointed
time.
by not the 25 appointed now.
There's a huge cohort in the House of Lords, and there are some real deep experts in certain fields and from parts of our society that really do give a good insight into what legislation means in practice and feedback to elected politicians. But as I say, I keep coming back to, at the moment, we have no oven-ready replacement.
I'm not saying to replace it. I'm saying that those that get put through to the House of Lords have to have a reason to be there, and it shouldn't just be to prop up a dying government, which is basically what Starmer's done.
I don't think they can prop it up because they have no vote in the House of Commons.
Of course, they can speed things through to the House in the House of Lords, so it comes back to the Commons. That's effectively why it's done. Why would he? Why would someone who stood on a manifesto of reforming the House of Lords, almost abolishing it, put through? Hang on, how many has he put through in the 18 months he's been in government? Is it 62? That is not reform. That is a takeover.
All parties have put that proportionally through.
But all parties didn't campaign at the election to reform it or get rid of it. That's the difference. And like Michelle said, it was disingenuous. It was actually dishonest.
But this is about what you and I are talking about in deep politics. When we think about people's priorities every day, there's a finite amount of time, finite amount of hours in the day.
No, in your manifesto, you didn't say, look, we're going to have this reform, but it's going to be priority number 2079, and we're probably not going to get to it. When you start as a party loudly saying to people, this is our policy, we're going to reform this, we're going to look at abolishing this, we're going to have an elected second house, people are well within their rights to expect you do that once you get that power.
But
and now
we also have
to... it's all about the priorities.
Well, of course, yeah, priorities really do matter, because at the end of the day, we're going to be judged on what we've delivered. And if we were to set wrong priorities, people would rightly judge us on that. So at the moment, because there is, as we've been talking about here, parliamentary time in terms of priorities and passing laws, there is so many hours in the day, and it's like everybody out there at work today.
What Michelle and I are saying, why was reform and abolishing the House of Lords in your manifesto, and you're doing the complete opposite? And why he's trying to put through legislation that is not in the manifesto, the digital ID, that was not in the manifesto. They've earmarked 1.8 billion for it. Basically, Labour came and won on a promise, and they're doing the complete opposite.
We are 17 months into what could be a 5-year term.
Hopefully
there or thereabouts. We'll see it. But we're 17 months into a 5-year term with already quite a significant amount of delivery on certain aspects. The appointment, just let me finish. The appointment of these lords, which is normal, proportional, pretty run-of-the-mill practice, actually doesn't mean that we are not going to carry out that manifesto commitment.
Stuart, you keep saying
but hold on, it just means it hasn't happened yet.
You keep saying it's run-of-the-mill, but it's not when you promise that's what we're trying to...
I don't believe there was any commitment to say we won't continue to maintain the system as it is until we have a replacement.
Starmer literally said he's going to reform it. What is the reform?
Well, hereditary peers now, so there's a lot less...
Yeah, because none of them will let you... You've basically just taken it over. He's stuffing as many as he can.
Did you know the Conservatives still have more peers in the House of Lords?
Yeah, and I'm sure... And listen, you're playing catch-up.
There's a lot more... There's a lot of catch-up to do.
So it's not about reform. It's about gaining more power. And he should have just said that from the beginning. Fine, we would have all accepted it. It's
more representation in the House of Lords doesn't give you more power.
Yeah, but hang on, because one of my viewers has made the point as well. All this representation, he's saying, Michelle, most of these people are from London and the South East. He's saying, where's the representation for places like Wales, the North, and all the rest of it? Where is that representation?
I think that is a fair point to make. I don't know about the criteria that is applied for the selection in terms of where they're from, their background.
He's appointed people from the machine. He's appointed aides, people from the inner circle and people from Westminster. That is not representative.
I mean, I've heard this applied to all sides of the political spectrum previously.
You know, and the fact that he doesn't want to give reform anyone, for me, it's the establishment closing ranks to protect itself as usual, but not listening to the people on the ground.
If reform can win some more seats, they may have that.
Well, we can't win more seats before the election. I mean,
but also, I've got to pipe in. I've got to go to break. But I can tell you now, people will be shouting at their screens when you say, "Well, if reform can win some more seats and all the rest of it." Many people will feel that you're absolutely running scared of reform, and that's why you keep doing things like cancelling local elections and things like that. Many people have got in touch with me. They live in some of these local areas where these local elections have been scrapped by you guys. So they would say they'd love the opportunity to actually give more representation to other parties in the system. I can hear you. Don't worry about that. Get your phones out as well. I'm sure you've been doing that as we've been talking, because I were asking you on our You Decide poll whether or not you think the House of Lords should ultimately be abolished. Yes or no? You convert in all of the ways that you already know how. Coming up, let's talk about the cost of net zero. A new report out today on that.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewbs, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello everybody, welcome to Jubes and Co. With me, Michelle Dewberry, Leila Cunningham and Stuart Fawcett alongside me. Adrian says, Michelle, MPs should be held to what they promise in the manifesto, and if they don't carry it out, they should stand down. You'd have no one there, Adrian, you'd literally have this whole empty House of Commons, but I do kind of agree that when you make manifesto pledges, why aren't they more legally binding? But of course MPs would say, well, Michelle, things change, don't they, after we get elected. Victor says, Michelle, this should be, the House of Lords should be replaced with an elected senior body, he says, of about 180 members, split politically based on the share of the public votes. I like that strategy. You've thought it through. I do like alternate solutions. Keep them coming in. But look, we need to talk about net zero. Do you support this massive rush for net zero? Don't forget, of course, we've been promised that our bills will, of course, become cheaper as well. Take a listen.
I can tell you today that for every family, we are keeping our promise to get energy bills down and cut the cost of living. With £150 cut from the average household bill from April next year.
When she said that, were you on your sofa cheering? Because I know that the cost of living is absolutely paralysing so many families. I know that the costs of energy, electricity, etc., really is panicking people. I know that many of you will be watching this programme right now. You'll be very cold. You'll be wrapped up in all kinds of stuff with your flask or whatever it is. You wanted those cheaper energy bills. Well, a report out today said that Britain's desperate rush to reach net zero by 2050, get this, will cost us £350 billion more than if we took things more slowly. Yet again, this is an example of your party not doing what it is that you're promising the voters you were going to do.
So I think we need to look at this in terms of the cost of living and what you've rightly mentioned, which is about the speed at which we're heading towards net zero and who was paying for it. So the Conservatives had put the green levy on bills, which had put a lot of the onus on bill payers in order to get the energy companies to be more green. Simultaneously, we've had huge rises in energy costs domestically for those people at home, and also for businesses. We've got some of the highest energy costs in the Western world, whilst also saying we need to lead the way in net zero and reducing carbon, so we're not going to use such natural resources like in the North Sea. Now, that's well and good, but it needs the whole world to commit to that in order to reach that goal. And at the moment, there's a disproportionate amount of responsibility on bill payers. So that particular policy that you referenced there was moving that more onto the energy companies, who can shoulder that responsibility a lot more fairly. But there is
but Stuart,
a fair question.
Sorry if I just may interrupt. No, this is saying that because of the rush to net zero that your party's pushing, and admittedly the Tories did as well, we're going to end up paying maybe £500 per household each. That's not reducing my bills. It's got nothing. That is pushing it onto the bill payer. And the problem is that even if we do reach net zero, right, electrification of the UK, electricity is not an energy source, it's an energy carrier. And the energy source right now is gas. And we have it under our feet, but we choose to import it. Why don't we just have what we have? And then Ed Miliband says, it will reduce our reliance on foreign imports, or Putin, as he likes to call it. It's our choice to import gas. It's a choice. We can rely on ourselves. But because of net zero madness, we're basically deindustrializing our country. As you say, industrial energy costs are the highest in the world. That's not an accident. That's because of your party's net zero policy.
So I'll just come in and respond to your point there, because what we've seen is, since around about 2010, we were seeing a slow shift towards renewable energies. When the Conservative government came in, they said no more onshore wind, it all has to be offshore. And obviously the cost of that was a lot higher. And there was going to be a gradual evolution towards renewable energies, solar, wind farms, that sort of thing. But things like COP, all the COP international treaties that have come out of that have moved that much quicker. So
no,
that
it hasn't actually. In COP this time, no one agreed to reduce fossil fuel reliance. There was no agreement, despite what Ed Miliband said, because every single country knows that you have to rely on fossil fuel. You cannot reduce production you cannot reduce production until you reduce consumption. None of them signed up for it.
But we've missed one really important part of this, which is nuclear energy, which for a long time we haven't built any
100%.
Nuclear reactors. And that has been what's really been missing. We had 14 years, essentially, of no movement on nuclear, when the previous Labour government before that had said you can't just rustle up a nuclear reactor. I think we'd all agree on that one. So nuclear is certainly somewhere we should be looking at, because actually it's the middle ground between the two.
No one's arguing about nuclear, 100%, but that's not what your party is talking about. You're talking about relying on... You're falsely promising the public that we can rely on renewables, and you know that we can't, because renewables are intermittent. So when that intermittent wind or solar, what do we rely on? We rely on gas, and that's called our baseload. Our baseload is the amount of energy we need constant 24/7. And hang on, right now, that baseload is powered by gas. And until we rely on ourselves and not imported gas, we will always have a weak baseload and in turn have a weak national grid.
I think this is about the way we want to look at it and how we want to move forward, and whether we want to look at it in a binary sense. So the government came in and it wanted to improve energy security, so sovereign creation of energy through a mixture of different elements, and that included nuclear, wind, solar, and reducing the necessity to, as you say, import large amounts of fossil fuels.
To be fair, Stuart, that's just talk. If they really wanted to reduce it, then we would be drilling for our own oil, relying on ourselves as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, the only reliable source of energy we have right now is gas. And we are lucky enough to live in a country where we have a...
I'm sorry, I disagree with you there, because I don't think gas is a reliable source of energy.
So you think intermittent wind
I'd like
and
to
solar...
reply to you as to why I don't think it's a secure source of energy.
So you think intermittent wind and solar...
I can come back to intermittency, because we don't have enough battery storage in order to make that work at the moment.
You cannot store renewables.
Missing part of the
Hang on,
story.
you cannot store renewables.
The money that has to go in order to actually
Stuart, you know that you
subsidise
can't store renewable energy.
But we still... Yes, but we need to get it onto the
battery
storage.
storage.
Need to. But I just want to come on to what you said about gas and security, because I think this is really important that people know, is that in order to have fossil fuels, gas and oil, most of it comes from the North Arabian Gulf. And the security situation
We don't import from the North Arabian Gulf. We import from Norway, who actually drill in the North Sea.
Which also requires maritime security.
No, it requires us to open licences to drill in our... You can't get bogged down and start talking about... We have it under our feet. We can rely on ourselves. So why are we... So if you're not arguing that, why are we not drilling for it?
Because we've made a commitment to try and reduce carbon in our atmosphere.
So you think that importing gas from abroad is less carbon emissions than drilling it under our feet at a higher cost and a higher carbon emission from just importing it? But it's madness. It's not true.
The sovereign element of trying to have more British energy onshore and in a secure manner is not just being achieved through gas. And I think that's a bit of a binary way to look at it when we have a plethora of different options.
What are the
to create energy? As we're saying, creating new nuclear reactors.
But do we have that right now?
More onshore? No, because the problem is we have a lack of investment for so long.
So basically, we don't have the technology yet to make renewables affordable for people. What your government is saying is that we have to pay billions up front on the hope, on the prayer that one day renewables will pay us back all those billions that we've paid in advance. No country has achieved that, and no other industry would fall for that. Every single country that's pursued net zero as aggressively as you want us have deindustrialized and have low growth and low GDP. It's madness.
I think
we're paying for ideology. That's it.
And it's an ideology, by the way, that many people haven't even actually subscribed to. Just tell my viewers very quickly, when are they going to make this saving then? When are you going to save them this money that you promised on their energy bill?
I know about the £150 every year that's going to be already reduced because of the measures that were made in the budget and shifted that more to the energy suppliers. And in order, this particular £500...
No, I'm on about, so this money that you've told the viewers that they're going to save, when are they going to save that money?
I don't have an exact number of exactly where they're going to save that money.
But so you previously, I mean, as recent as the budget, I'm sure it was about 150 quid by April. Is that still going to be the case?
I believe that's all still in place, and that's already happening, as well as, I must add, winter fuel allowances that are being restored for people in order to make that, and other options that help people with their heating.
So we're paying... So hang on. The thing is, the lie that Labour sell... And listen, the Tories are the same. I find it quite incredible that the Shadow Energy Secretary says for years the public has been told the lie that net zero means cheaper energy, which is exactly their lie. But net zero doesn't eliminate gas, by the way. We still need gas for electrification. That's what Labour never addresses. It just makes gas more expensive, less efficient, and it makes us more insecure. Why? We have it here. Why not use it? It's mad.
Well, there you go. I don't think we're going to get an answer to this one in any short order. But anyway, what do you make to it all? Do you even support net zero? I know most of you will say, no, you don't. But if you do, get in touch with me because I would like to hear that perspective as well. Coming up after the break, so much that we need to discuss, ladies and gents. Labour now announcing their plan to slash homelessness by a half. Is it enough?
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Are you heading away this weekend? Well, it's turning unsettled through the Canary Islands, but there is plenty of sunshine to come for the Mediterranean. But a spell of wet weather through Friday will push through Tenerife as well as Madeira and through Lisbon as well as towards Barcelona. Plenty of cloud and outbreaks of showers for Nice. But as we look further east, high pressure dominates and that will bring plenty of sunny and dry weather to parts of Greece in particular. So temperatures here will start to climb towards the high teens.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We do have an area of rain moving east and it's only slowly going to make its way across the country overnight into the start of tomorrow. But having seen a damp day on Thursday in Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, the rain is now clearing through with skies clearing and temperatures falling overnight in the west and northwest. Meanwhile, it's a damp evening across Wales, the southwest, central parts of Scotland, and then that rain moves into central parts of the UK through the early hours of Friday. Ahead of it, a lot of cloud, temperatures staying in the double figures in some spots, but a colder start to Friday for much of central and western Scotland as well as Northern Ireland, having seen those clearer skies. Here's the rain first thing Friday. It's across much of Devon, Dorset, into Somerset, eastern parts of Wales, the Midlands and Northern England. Mostly it's light, it's on and off, but there will be some heavier bursts involved. Stark contrast to Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, beautiful blue skies first thing. A bit colder compared with the last few mornings because of those clearer skies and lighter winds. 1 or 2 mist patches out there first thing. But for now at least, an interlude between systems of rain, and we do have showers waiting in the wings to arrive into the northwest of Scotland through the afternoon, eventually reaching parts of western Northern Ireland. But this clear slice of weather will lead to plenty of sunshine for many western parts during Friday, whilst the rain slowly clears the southeast. Then it's the southeast where we see plenty of sunshine as we begin the weekend, and we keep those sunny skies through the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast into Saturday afternoon. Elsewhere it turns cloudier and heavy rain increasingly affects parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England, especially hills of western Scotland and northwest England, North Wales as well. Risk of localised flooding.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the UK. We're truly humbled, and we couldn't have done it without you.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Travellers are facing disruptions on several key routes. A breakdown on the M8 westbound at Junction 19 on the Kingston Bridge is causing significant delays, prompting commuters to seek alternatives. The A483 is impacted by an accident between Llanwrtyd Wells and Beulah, greatly affecting travel times. In Surrey, the M25 has one lane closed between junctions 8 and 9 due to a medical emergency, leading to congestion. Additionally, a collision on the A11 northbound at the Thetford West Junction is complicating travel. And on the trains, cross-country passengers face delays between Bournemouth and Brockenhurst. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Jubes and Co with me, Michelle Dewberry. If you're just joining us, my panel tonight, Reform UK Councillor Leila Cunningham and Labour Councillor Stuart Fawcett. David says, Michelle, I do not believe this claim about the £150 energy claim saving. Lots of you are getting in touch. John says, Michelle, I was told last week in January my gas and electric is going to go up. Another £105, he says. It's the third rise in his bills in 12 months. This is a really big issue for so many of you at home, and you can be the final judge as to whether or not you do actually think that you will see bills coming down any time soon. Now, one of the problems that blights countries, well, cities actually, up and down the country is homelessness. Labour have been talking tough, they're saying. They're going to pledge £3.5 billion to tackle this. Let's take a listen.
More and more now, people are staying on the streets for longer, so we've got to target that issue. Underneath this all is a goal to prevent homelessness properly. We want to increase the rate at which, if somebody does go to their council and says, I think I might become homeless, we want to increase the rate at which the council can stop that happening, because the best policy on homelessness is to stop it before it starts. Those are our new goals. We've backed it with money, and I am confident that we can make progress over the months and years to come.
I mean, does this policy worry you? Do you kind of look at this and think, blimey, you know, they're going to fix this issue and there'll be nothing left for us to fix if we ever get elected? Where do you stand on this one?
Well, Michelle, you can't fix homelessness unless you fix the issues that cause homelessness. And the issue is mass migration. We've let in too many people and built too little homes. So unless you're going to stop people coming in and fix the housing supply, you're always going to have homelessness. And actually, they can... What did they list? Can we just go through what they listed? Because they never say how they're going to list it.
Well, they've mentioned that they're going to pledge £3.5 billion worth of funding, but Crisis, who's a homeless organisation, they've pushed back and said, hold on a second, because only 100 million of this money is actually new money.
No, but they said they're going to get prisons to collaborate better with hospitals. How? Half the number of people made homeless on the first night out of prison. How? Are they going to magically create housing? Stop hospitals discharging people onto the streets? Hospitals aren't magicians. Where are they going to go? So they've listed targets, but they never list how they're going to do it. And I can tell you, I was on the Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Westminster City Council, and the portfolio manager brought out her whole new policy for housing, and it said that we will prioritise the following groups. And she said it will be women, people from the global south, in brackets she wrote Arab, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Roma gypsies, and women. The next page of the report said that 60 to 80% of people that are homeless in Westminster City Council are white men. So I put my hand up and I asked the obvious question that I'm sure your viewers are asking. Why are we prioritising these groups? Are they even marginalised? And why are we not prioritising white men? What do you think happened? What? They shut the meeting down. I was called racist for asking the question. The two councillors said we will not engage with Councillor Cunningham's racist rhetoric. And the Conservative whip the next day called me and said, you're not allowed to ask any further questions on this in full council because they've threatened to put a racist complaint against you. So all this doesn't address the one question that's on my residents' minds and everyone's mind. Will British citizens be prioritised for social housing? Because I have residents whose children are number 400th on the list, but someone who's just arrived is at the top of the queue.
A lot of questions there, so I'll try and come in on some
Only
of those
one.
with
Will
my
British
experience.
citizens be prioritised?
Last one,
Yeah.
because we haven't got all day. Will and should British citizens be prioritised over foreign citizens?
So, I've got my own experience in this from being a councillor and also from a project to do with veterans that are in the justice system. So I can answer a few of your questions here from that experience.
I want that one question answering first, please.
You want to know if British citizens are going to be prioritised?
Yes.
Well, actually, how this works is the central government doesn't have the control over that. It's up to local authorities. Wherever you are in the UK, there is a local authority, a council, depends where you are, and it has the responsibility to house everybody within that area.
Right, so tell us your council then. Would you prioritise...
So I'm in North East Derbyshire.
So would you prioritise British homeless people over and above foreign homeless people?
You don't always get the direct responsibility because you have to house everybody and you have to assess their needs.
Yes, but you've been talking to me 5 minutes ago about priorities. You was telling my viewers you can't reform the House of Lords like you promised because of priority. So where is your priority in your list then?
I know where my priorities are, which is to actually understand those who are in the most immediate need. However, the big issue...
on the street, you're all equal. Who gets the priority access?
Well, this is the problem.
Answer the question.
The priorities sometimes actually are a little bit meaningless because there isn't enough housing stock. As you said there, Layla, for many years they haven't built social housing.
You are dodging the question and I'm getting irritated now. My viewers will be as well. The question is a very simple one. In your council and in broader councils, if there's two people on the street and there's one house, who gets prioritised, the foreign national or the British national?
I don't know all of the particular criteria, and this is what's really difficult.
I can tell you in Westminster City Council, it is not the British white man who gets prioritised.
I believe you.
Even though they form 60 to 80% of homeless people, it is people that they like to call the global majority, even the Roma gypsies, people from the Middle East. And
so
I was called...
What do you think to that?
What do I think to that?
Yeah.
I think we need to assess people's housing needs on other things than just their identifiers. I think we need to take
It's not identifiers, it's people who built this country and built this city and their children, and they're being put to the back of the queue by the Labour Party.
So let me just come in on where this money's going to go as well, because I think that's important to know. So I was Armed Forces Champion at my council, and we ran a really important consultation with all different charities, including homeless ones and veterans, and we discovered that there was a heck of a lot of duplication amongst all of those parties that help this particular part of the spectrum. They're more highly represented amongst homeless or veterans. It's just quite sad to see.
Yeah.
But there is a huge amount of duplications because councils are having to deal with this without the right housing stock and a massive oversubscription of homelessness. And what this money is going to do is to prevent that from happening so that we're much more efficient with the housing stock that we do have whilst building more. But of course, the question then remains that the fact is we don't have enough housing in this country to house everybody that needs it at point of need.
The fact is that we're letting too many people in this country that should not be in this country and are being put to the top of the queue as opposed to British people for social housing. That is a massive strain on social housing, because what people don't realise is that mass migration without building appropriate housing disadvantages British people, and that's what we're seeing. And we have a Labour Party that won't even prioritise the very people that voted for them.
I know that we're trying to build another 1.5 million homes in order to resolve the situation.
But who's going to get them? That is the million-dollar
even
question.
if we stopped that today to zero, we would still have a lot of people needing homes that don't have them.
What do you think to it all at home, ladies and gents? I know some of you, you'll have very strong opinions indeed. Get in touch, do not hold back. Tell me what you think on that topic. Coming up, Donald Trump, if you wanted to go to America, would you be willing to hand over 5 years of social media history as a condition of entry? I'll see you in a minute. I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes and Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Jubes and Co with me, Michelle Dewberry. Lots of you actually getting in touch on this homeless topic. I can tell you there is a huge sentiment of people getting in touch and making the simple statement to me that, Michelle, when it comes to homelessness and housing and all the rest of it, you do feel, lots of you feel very strongly about it, that actually it should be British citizens that are prioritised for that housing. Keep your thoughts on that one coming in. Also, as well, I was running a poll throughout the programme asking you about the House of Lords, that first topic. Do you think it should be abolished or not? So I've got the opinion polls on that now. 85% of you said yes, you think it should have been abolished. Of course, that means that 15% of you think no, it should not. Look, I'm not a footballing person, I've got to tell you this, but apparently the ballot's open for next summer's World Cup in North America. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I can picture myself, Michelle, going to one of these games in America or just going on my travels or whatever, there's suggestions now that you might need to hand over 5 years of social media history as a condition of entry to that country. What do you think to that?
I mean, listen, say what you like, right? But this is a government that's serious about keeping its country safe. It's willing to inconvenience tourists, check 5 years of online data. Now, compare that to our government, who allows people to arrive on boats. We don't know their age, we don't know where they're from, no documentation, and they're allowed to just walk right in. We're checking nothing, and we're giving them full benefits. And it's a real contrast, you know? What do you think?
I think I've actually just filled in an Esther today, funnily enough, and I've given all that information.
But isn't it optional?
No, it was compulsory. I had to put it in. And I didn't have a problem with doing that because I recognise that it's also to keep me safe as well as the United States of America. So I don't have a problem with that. And actually, if you're going into a nation which has free speech...
to keep you safe. What are you on about?
Well, I think a lot of due diligence when they're looking at people who are arriving on their shores, they want to see about the sorts of things that they are communicating about and stream out any extremists and give that due diligence. And I think that's perfectly legitimate to do so in order to keep your citizens safe, and social media is often the first port of call to make that assessment. So I think that's fair. What you were saying there, though, Layla, about boats, I'm pleased to say that that's not entirely as it is. As you know, it is illegal to come to this country through that method. Those people
it's good for you to recognise that.
As you well know.
Well done. You're the first one in your party.
And as you know, well, not just that, because the Home Secretary has embraced that quite fully,
no, she hasn't,
with
because
the new
she
bill.
has not said that if you're alive illegally, you will not be able to claim asylum. That would make it illegal. In fact, she said, instead of an endless stay, you get a 2-year stay in a hotel.
Here we go, because that's changing entirely, because actually, no, you don't. If you come here as you should be, there are full checks done on you. There's a lot more technology being used.
How can you check? What technology
I'm just about to come to that. We're using facial recognition technology.
But from someone in a village in Sudan or someone in a village in Afghanistan?
As well as biological scans, so that if they come here, they have to be processed. We are part of the ECHR, and actually the ECHR
we don't have to be.
Hold on. Of course we don't, but we have signed up to it, so we can't just bin it overnight.
Yeah, of course we can.
We are a country, and that gives protection to some people here.
No, it doesn't. It gives no protection.
No,
it only gives protections to illegal migrants
coming here. I've had this before.
It only gives protection to illegal migrants.
I've had this before with the Brexit referendum.
What protection does the ECHR give us?
Hold on. I've had this before with the Brexit referendum to say let's leave the EU, and we didn't know the terms we were going to get, which in the end I think we might agree.
You said the protection.
I think we might agree.
Right, hang on, because my programme's going to finish in a minute. Please, for the love of God, can you answer a question? She's asking you, if you scan these fellas' faces that come from out Timbuktu, what protection is that going to give the British citizens?
So they're kept secure here.
No, they're not.
And then they're processed. Their claims now being processed. And then if they return through illegal means again, that automatically speeds up through the new one in, one out system.
Hang on, Stuart. You're saying that every person that arrives on a boat is being detained and not put in hotels. That is not the truth.
No, they have to go through a screening process.
Once they've gone through this virtue signalling screening process that is actually meaningless, right, then they're housed in hotels. Am I correct? In towns and villages.
Actually, now that's being reduced massively because I'm as frustrated as you are.
Right, as of today,
you need to let me finish.
You didn't answer the question. No, I'm saying as of today. Are they housed in hotels, yes or no?
There are some in hotels, and they are being moved in. But there's a huge policy here going, Layla, and we need to tell people about this, which is moving people, these asylum seekers, migrants, into secure sites, often former military establishments.
But that's not happening.
So that, yes, it is happening.
No, it's not.
You've just
signed a hotel deal since 2029 for billions of pounds.
Hold on.
You have no expectation
of reducing it. And we've also
just
taken back a lot of profits from hotel users that were taking excessive profits.
That's That's different.
as part of a
That's
profit
different. They
return
shouldn't be
deal.
paid anything. I shouldn't pay for anything of that. And you know what? We've got a
I
simple
do
solution
need an
for you.
opportunity to respond, Layla, on the
I'm
policy.
sorry, go on, then answer a question.
We've changed that policy from hotels because it is clear that people don't consent to that happening in their communities, and that is totally right. They're being moved to secure sites, processed, returned, as is under international law, and we're actually moving that to become more of a deficit.
So let me just tell you something about your returns deal with France. They get a veto, and they're taking people that are very easy to get rid of. You basically they have control over who comes in and who comes out. We have no veto on who they send back. Second of all, you said the ECHR gives us rights here. Could you specify that?
No, you haven't got time to specify ECHR rights.
It's not
that's
true.
the end of the programme. I can hear you shouting at your TV and at your radios. You want these people to be stopped from coming into this country in the first place. You don't arguing about where they're good. Yeah, anyway, that's all I've got time for. Thanks to my panel. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We do have an area of rain moving east and it's only slowly going to make its way across the country overnight into the start of tomorrow. But having seen a damp day on Thursday in Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, the rain is now clearing through with skies clearing and temperatures falling overnight in the west and northwest. Meanwhile, it's a damp evening across Wales, the southwest, central parts of Scotland, and then that rain moves into central parts of the UK through the early hours of Friday. Ahead of it, a lot of cloud, temperatures staying in the double figures in some spots, but a colder start to Friday for much of central and western Scotland as well as Northern Ireland, having seen those clearer skies. Here's the rain first thing Friday. It's across much of Devon, Dorset, into Somerset, eastern parts of Wales, the Midlands and northern England. Mostly it's light, it's on and off, but there will be some heavier bursts involved. A stark contrast to Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, beautiful blue skies first thing. A bit colder compared with the last few mornings because of those clearer skies and lighter winds. 1 or 2 mist patches out there first thing. But for now at least, an interlude between systems of rain, and we do have showers waiting in the wings to arrive into the northwest of Scotland through the afternoon, eventually reaching parts of western Northern Ireland. But this clear slice of weather will lead to plenty of sunshine for many western parts during Friday, whilst the rain slowly clears the southeast. Then it's the southeast where we see plenty of sunshine as we begin the weekend, and we keep those sunny skies through the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast into Saturday afternoon. Elsewhere it turns cloudier and heavy rain increasingly affects parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England, especially hills of Western Scotland and Northwest England, North Wales as well. Risk of localised flooding.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you so much for helping us to reach 8 million followers and subscribers across our social media channels. That's 8 million fearless Brits standing up for what really matters.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. There is a traffic incident on the